All right. I am tired. Um, yeah, I know I'm tired. Been going too hard lately. Although, I'm going down to 2 days a week at my job, so that'll give me time to work on some animations. Try to get some stories out there. But yeah, channeling too hard. Don't want to think over much right now, so I want to talk about something that I've talked about before. In fact, I made a video. I think I'm gonna erase it though, cause uh, I wanna do it proper. Mm-hmm. All right, it's this idea of erasing history, right? Um, I think it is possible for us to erase history. Um, and I think it begins with Through the Mist by Igor the Imposter. This is Igor the Imposter's manifesto, right? And with this manifesto, history will be erased. History is a mystery. The now is mystery. Mystery is the nature of a relationship between two or more. The vanity of omniscience is a sickness which kills mystery. You will never know another or yourself because you are a mystery. What would you do? Or how would you feel? Why do the doings and the feelings transform throughout time? Getting to know your mystery is the beauty of you. Getting to know the mystery of another is an adventure. Pity the truth seeker who fears the mist. Whether or not the mystery is revealed after death matters not. Let go, don't fight it. Allow mystery to have her way with you. Mystery is affectionate and mean, tender and rough. Mystery is a passion of the mind and soul and body. The history is not false if the story is true, but truth is a spiritual word, not to be blasphemed with a measuring stick. A true history is false if the story is untrue. The celebration of failure is a massively underreported phenomenon. Those amazing feelings of euphoria mixed with laughter and life of those who lead their descendants to doom. The truth seeker cannot see, he merely records, treating history with contempt, approaching with gross disrespect, to see that which cannot be seen, and hear that which cannot be heard, cherishing history with your soul, not just your head. Truth seekers must be fought. A righteous fight to protect the sanctity of history from those who would strip her naked to mindlessly gawk at her. Write any history that you want. Write it and spread its truth. Hidden beneath the word. Watch and stay silent as the truth seekers laugh at you in your attempt to throw the veil over your mystery. Truth seekers though are trapped in time. The echoes of their laughter will fade. Their smug smiles will rot while time marches on without their permission. Time is a hurricane of transformation. Yet there is always a day in time as no other. The day when things are different. When old minds when old minds give way to young. On that day, all the truths of the truth seeker will have to pass through the mist of Igor. With each of these days, the mist of Igor will grow stronger until history is worshipped with silent reverence rather than obnoxious sounds. Falsify history in order to make it true. Confund them. Kill the now. That the future that the future can see our truths, drown the past, so that we can breathe their fresh air. To know is an illusion of the mind and a fruit of the heart. Alright, I need to get water. Water and then beer. All right. Focus. The bonds of the mist of Igor go deeper than friendship. Free yourself from the false niceness of the truth seeker. Burn with anger toward one another while you wear the truth seeker's mask. Your history is the true history, not the other one. In fact, this is not even the philosophy of Igor. I may just be a copy. You were the one who wrote the true philosophy of Igor. The mist of Igor envelops all. Mist yourself and be free. But never let the truth seeker's mask destroy your soul. Shine forth their egos with humility in your heart. Allow with your history to feed your pride. And always pity the truth seeker. The truth of you cannot be seen with the eyes, nor can the truth of another. Only the eye can see the reality of a man. True history can only be written with closed eyes and a listening heart. The bonds of the mist of Igor are sacred. The hottest or coldest emotions could never stir its stillness. Do not prostitute yourself naked for others to gawk. Bodily and mental bonds wither. Put up your veil and bond in spirit. Thou shalt not giggle. Thou shalt never deny your sources, unless you choose the truths of another source. Always, always righteousness for truth is you. The mist of Igor is a bond outside of time. The first mist, whoever they were, will bond with future mist until the secret is lost. The victory of the history troll is eternal. Give awards and praise and condemnation to one another. But the true prize is within, in passion with the mystery. The silly truths of the truth seeker have never affected the the emotions of the now. The celebration of their failure is absolute. Mindless mouths speaking carefully prepared word algorithms, leading us into into the future vulnerable and unprepared. The path of ignorance is traveled with conviction. Only the false truths of the devotees of Igor can save us from the insanity of a man who says he knows you, from a man who would dare to measure you. Confund them, throw their minds into the fire, let the smoke rise until all is turned into mist. Nema, and undo it. Anyways, so like the idea is pretty simple. You go out there and you write a false history, right? And you say, hey, this is the true history, or you just read other people's false histories and you choose to follow them. You're like, yeah, this is the true one. And you go, you tell your friends and your family and your kids and everybody, this is the true history. Don't listen to these lies. You know, this is the history troll, right? And again, the idea is simple. It's basically flooding the historical marketplace, right? If you have enough history trolls out there who flood the historical marketplace, and then you just throw all these books down, and even evidence, right? If you do that, then eventually, boom, history will be erased. Because people will continue to do it in the future as well. You know, of course, unless they start to try to make it illegal, but even then, you know, institutions always rise and fall. And eventually, these ideas will win out. The victory of the history troll will be eternal. But I mean, there is a lot of practicality to the erasing of history. It's not just this hoop-de-law thing. I mean, first of all, you have all the real history out there. And even this real history is questioned by scholars, you know, rightfully questioned by scholars. Because as we know, sometimes propaganda is put to the page. But, you know, there is all this real history out there. So one activity that would have to be done is you take a real history book and then you just change like 1% or 3%. Right? And you consistently, that change is consistent. So if you change 1% and this 1% happens to be in another history book, well, you change that as well. So, and yeah, you just flood the marketplace with these real history books that have all this false information in them. But then, of course, you could have several categories of this. You'd do the 1%ers, but you'd have like 20%ers or 10%ers, or, you know, just like 40% of this book is just bullshit, and 60% is the real history. and you just keep going. Um, Eventually, you can switch history around. So, like everybody admires the Roman Republic, but any tribe in the world could take the Roman Republic's history and make it theirs. The Germans could do it. You know, the English could do it. The Thai people, you know, the Chinese, the Indians, anybody, you know. Eventually, you start to have history books that you know even have maybe even echoes of the real history, right? So it's like you guys are copying this Roman Republic, but it's like you guys were the real Romans, right? Like everybody would have a Livy. Everybody would have a Livy out there. Livy would live on in all these other tribes. Um, and like you could even have false archaeological digs, right? I mean, as long as you're recording it and calling each other doctor, like who's gonna know in the future? Um, so there's this even this cosplay involved because you would have to erase video history too. So you'd have to erase. You'd have to have a whole new black and white movie phase. So a bunch of black and white movies would be made, along with even you could have interviews because these movie stars from the past would have to be interviewed, and so you just create this complete fantasy world, and there'd be a lot of cosplay involved and a lot of community and fun. And so I mean, this erasing of history, you know, it's a big project, and there's a lot of different things that you can do. So like if the Germans or when the Germans start to write histories where they're the real Romans, right? Then they'll have archaeological digs, and they'll dig up all these proof, you know, that'll someday be destroyed, right? And so like, but we had the proof, and we can show that proof, that documentation, to the future. So we have to process this though, right? We have to totally process this. So what we've done is we've taken the real history, and we've completely erased it, right? We've completely erased it. But in everything that I've said, there are still echoes of the real history in everything that I've said. Um, but once history is erased, you can also erase those echoes and just write complete fantasy history. You know, that has nothing to do with any of the real stuff. And then you throw that just complete fantasy history in. And this would be fun because like I mean, we have dinosaur bones, and we'll dig up more dinosaur bones, right? And so these dinosaur bones, like they'll be maybe around 10,000, 100,000 years from now. And so what they like these people 100,000 years from now won't have the real history. It'll be erased. But they'll have dinosaur bones. So they knew dinosaurs were in the past. Right? So you could write histories where talking dinosaurs with dinosaur tribes would interact with humans. Right? And you just have this whole fantasy world where this you know primitive world, right, where you have dinosaurs and humans making alliances and wars against each other. And um, so yeah, no, you would eventually want to just erase the echoes though, the echoes of the real stuff. Um, and you really have to put yourself in their shoes too. Uh, I mean, what are they going to have? Because they're going to still want to be historians, and they're going to want to try to know the real history. Um, so it's like you're going to have to think about what are they going to have in their repertoire of science that may allow them to partially discover the real history. Um, and if we discover more that they could, you know, pick true, then we got to cut that off too, right? So if we're like, oh, they can do this with DNA, then we're gonna have to figure out something. You know, with the DNA, that would be easy. We all just stop inbreeding and start all fucking each other. But yeah, mix up the gene pool. I mean, that's where you know, that's healthier. You know, scientifically speaking, to mix up the gene pool. Anyways. But yeah, no, totally. This is, but it's also this idea of the eternal victory of the history troll. And I think if this idea gets out, then people will just embrace it, and maybe not, but you don't need a whole lot of people to embrace it. You know, you just start flooding that marketplace. You know, one history book at a time.